Hello everybody, it's Julia here from the Highly Sensitive Tarot, and I'm back today with another deck to show you. Probably many of you have seen this deck, if not own this deck already, but this is new to me. I picked this up recently after seeing the lovely Farah on Farah Nadila show this deck a few times in her videos, and also I've been thinking for some time that I want to have a go at trimming a deck, and I think this deck actually is the perfect deck to have a go at trimming, so, and maybe edging as well. So that's what I'm going to do. So this is by Maggie Stiefvater. Oh God, you know my pronunciation. Maggie Stiefvater. Maggie Stiefvater. I'm sorry, Maggie, that I've killed your name there. So it comes in this big box. It is by Llewellyn Books. Looks like the copyright was 2015 actually. This is the back of the box. Yeah, I'm quite fascinated actually with this deck. I'm really looking forward to using it. So let's get these cards out. So it's a pretty standard sort of inside of the box with a little ribbon to help you get the cards out. It's really nice book. It's such a shame because to have a nice big book you have to have a big box, don't you? And I would prefer a smaller box, but I still want a good book. So it says on the back of the book, the iridescent sheen of a raven's wing reveals a tantalizing glimpse of the future. A tattooed hand peels back the gossamer veil that separates this world from the next. Illuminating the prophecy shows you how to work with the cards, helping you harness the opposing forces of intuition and intellect as you create the story of your life. I really like that. I think that's definitely what's going on, isn't it, reading cards? It is harnessing the opposing forces of intuition and intellect as you tell a story. So, what do we have in this book? We have a bit about the author, an introduction, about the theme, so this is from the Imagery of Wealth mythology, and I'm pretty sure that these are books, aren't they? The Raven's Prophecy. I'm going to look on my phone if it doesn't say here, but I'm pretty sure these were originally a series of books, weren't they? Like teenagers' books. Let me just see. Yeah, it says she's made her living as an artist since she was 22. So, does it say at the back of the book? No. I'm pretty sure that there is like a trilogy of like teenagers fiction that goes with this. I'm going to have to look on my phone. It annoys me when I can't remember things. Actually, I think I screenshotted a picture, actually. I did. Yeah, here we are, look. The Raven Cycle, a series of 4 books collection by Maggie Stiefvater. The Raven King, Blue Lily, Lily Blue, The Dream Themes, The Raven Boys. So the books and the cards I don't know how much they have in common. But knowing me, if I get on with these cards, I will probably buy those books and I will read them. So there's lots of spreads in here, actually. She talks quite a lot about the cards, about how to do a reading, the spreads. And then there's a page and a bit on each of the cards, it looks like. Yeah, a page and a bit on each of the cards. So these are the cards. This is the back of the cards. They're maybe not the best cardstock. They're possibly a tad flimsy, maybe is the word. I don't know. They're not as great as some other cards. But as you can see, I think that they will be good cards for trimming. I'm thinking I'm going to trim them down the sides and the top, but perhaps leave the words at the bottom, at least until I've gotten to know this deck properly. And then I may well be able to cut all of the borders off. I'm not really sure, but I think this deck's going to be my first attempt at some deck modification, which is quite exciting, but quite nerve-wracking as well. So I really like already, and I've only flicked through this deck a couple of times. I really like how simple this deck is. You know, this is going to be a very, very easy deck to read intuitively, I think. We've got the sword in the stone there, haven't we? With like the kingly sort of feel of that, of the Arthurian legends of the emperor. And with the Hierophant with a lantern, which is not something I would traditionally think of the Hierophant. That's more the hermit, isn't it? Beautiful lovers. The chariot, that's interesting as well, isn't it? The red and white dragons there. Strength. And the hermit, yeah, so the lantern is now in a cave. So I can see why now, yep. The Wheel of Fortune, like the cycles, the Wheel of the Year. Justice, the weighing of a feather. The Hanged Man, the Crow. Death card. Temperance, that's beautiful and simple. I like that very much. The Star, that's beautiful, gorgeous card. The Moon, that's a really nice image, as is the Sun. Judgment. So it's that sort of kingly energy with the intellect there as well of the book. The World. Look at that. I really like that as a world card, actually. It's like the road just keeps going, doesn't it? It doesn't ever stop. There's no end. You know, that road could just keep going forever. There's always these little crossroads. It's life, isn't it? So I think the crows represent the cups, perhaps, in this. Yeah. So it's a little bit pippish, but I don't mind that, actually. I think there is still enough movement and emotion in these cards for you to read them without a whole lot going on in them. Crows and their sparkly things. Oh, feathers. And the Nine of Cups. They are beautiful, aren't they? The Ten of Cups. Look at all their iridescent feathers. They're lovely. Page of Cups, so the eggs. Knight of Cups, the feather. The feather with the moon, so the feminine. And the King of Cups is like, well, it's the cup and a feather, isn't it? So coins are plants, flowers. Thorns. Look at that, look. A dying plant, really, isn't it? I think, perhaps. Beautiful, beautiful cards, actually. Just amazingly intuitive, I think, with such simple symbols within them. Look at that, look. I love the Nine of Coins. That's a card that I look for always when I'm looking at a new deck. It's a sort of fully formed, beautiful rose. So we've got the little seedling. We have the Knight, which is the spade. The Queen, which is the flowers. And the King, which is the red rose with the thorns. So swords are just hands, maybe. As I said, I haven't read the book for this yet. I'm just giving you my first impressions. Wow, look at that, look. The blood. That's quite unpleasant, isn't it? The Four of Swords, and we've got all of the symbology on all of the hands here. It's really, really nice. The Five of Swords. So we've got feathers, which were cups, weren't they? With the hand. Interesting. It would be really interesting actually to read the book and see what Maggie has got to say about some of these cards. I think, as I said, you could easily read these intuitively, but with most new decks that I get, I do like a good flick through the guidebook. Because obviously I think it's just important to see how the creator of the deck intended these cards to be perceived. It doesn't mean to say that that's how you have to see the cards, but I think it's useful to know that. It's interesting, isn't it? Oh, wow, look at that, look. The Knight of Swords. So I think when I'm done showing you these, I'm going to give them a little shuffle. I'm going to draw one and I'm going to read from the book. If you would like to see me having modded these cards, trimmed them and edged them, please do let me know in the comments. And I shall do a little video to show you what I've done. I may not do a video to show you the doing, just because I will be quite stressy about it, and I'm quite shaky, so I have a bit of a tremor, so it's not always the best thing to watch. So what we got with the wands, we've got fire, haven't we? Fire, all different kinds of fire and flames. Really interesting, isn't it? Look at that, look. Trouble, trouble, trouble. The Six of Wands. Wow. Look at that. Protecting the flames. The Eight of Wands. Wow. Really starting to work with that energy. Ten of Wands. So a spark, a flame. Wow, that's a mouth, isn't it? Blowing out a flame. And then the King of Swords with his antlers, flaming antlers. So let me give these a quick little shuffle. They've not been shuffled as yet. I wanted to keep them in order to show you today. So they shuffle beautifully, actually. They're a really lovely size. It's a shame that, you know, to trim little cards like this, because these are a really nice little size in my hands anyway. But I do agree. I think that this deck would have much more of a presence without the orange borders, actually. So let's see what we get. So the Seven of Swords. Let's have a look. What does she say? So the Seven of Swords. Deception, strategy, manipulation, and solitude. Although the swords are a logical suit concerned with absolutes, they are not particularly fussed with ethics. Ethics, after all, are indeed absolutes, but they are an absolute of emotions. The absolutes of the swords often push aside principles to see the bottom line instead. They will ask what will serve you best. Sometimes it means slicing other people along the way. Sometimes it means doing things that you aren't proud of. Sometimes living this way ends up with other people turning the tables and treating you this way too. This is exactly what the Seven of Swords promises. It is a card of cunning and deception. So I was wondering what the fingers crossed were. And that's almost like, you know, somebody crossing their fingers behind their back when they're telling a lie, isn't it? It's a card of cunning and deception. The kindest reading promises that this is a card of strategy and not out and out lying, but rather being cautious with the truth in order to get what you want. But the worst reading admits that the word strategy often is just a pretty term for manipulation. The person in this card often finds themselves in intentional solitude. Too many partners will see through the web of half-truths. The Seven of Swords isn't always talking about you, however. You could also be the victim of someone's manipulation or lies, or perhaps be living with a suspicion that you're being played. Sometimes this card calls for a bit of gamesmanship, urging you to embrace your cunning. Personally, I nearly always think it's better to uncross my fingers and tell the truth. It can be tempting to play the game, but in the end, the blades hidden in the murk, even your own, are more likely to cut you than the ones clearly presented in the light of day. I really like this deck. She tells it like it is, doesn't she? That's a really good interpretation of the Seven of Swords. Although the swords are a logical suit concerned with absolutes, they're not particularly fussed with ethics. Wow, that's really good. I really like this deck, and I'm really, really looking forward to using it, actually. So I think that I ought to get on and have a go at trimming it before I do, really. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this. Please do let me know in the comments. Please do say hello. If you've got this deck, let me know whether you've trimmed it, you've edged it, what you've done with it, how it works for you. I don't know whether I'll be doing an in-depth sort of month-long study with this deck like I do some of my decks. I'm not entirely sure yet. I may do. What I've got coming up next for my in-depth month study is I've got 3 fairy tale decks that I'm going to use together in 1 month. One is a tarot deck, one is an oracle deck, and one is a Lenormand deck. And I'm completely new to Lenormand, so I'm really looking forward to getting to know those 3 decks. So I may use this as an in-depth deck study later on in the year. I'm not entirely sure. I will see. But I think this is certainly going to be my first deck modification project. which after all these years of having tarot decks is quite funny, really, for me to be doing. So anyway, I hope that everybody's well, and I will look forward to seeing you all again soon. Thank you.